What's going on, my Latin ones? It's your boy Mosh MC back in the building, baby. And I know you're all here because you know Mosh does it all. And today we have a special video because this is the first video of the One Piece TCG content. I know, you're like, what is One Piece TCG? It is the One Piece trading card game, my friends. And today is a very special day because not only is the first video of One Piece trading card, but it's also the first video of recorded tournament content from the Discord that I'm currently in. And I will go over all that in just a second. Well, basically right now. So to cut right to the chase, this is the Discord for my locals. If you guys don't know, locals are basically your local card shop. You guys go and play trading card games. Specifically for me, it is One Piece. And they started a tournament recently as of August 16th. And it reads, welcome to the official start of the Baratier Shokugeki Summer Classic. You guys know me, I love to cook. So Shokugeki, perfection. Tournament will begin starting today, 8/16, and run through 9/16, so September 16th. The rules are simple. Each player starts with 3 points. Player must seek out games and wager a minimum of 1 point. To prevent farm, you can only rematch someone if you have already played 2 other people before playing them again for points. So essentially, you're just going and challenging people to the One Piece trading card game. And if you win, you get a point. If you lose, you get a point. And there are special things called wagers, so you can wager more than 1 point. So say I wager 2 points if you play the leader Iceberg. Essentially, just different, I don't know the word, but different stipulations for more points. And essentially, all games need to be played via webcam. And they all need to be recorded and placed in VODs. And today, I did ask my friend Scuba, because I did play Scuba in the first game. I did ask him if I can post this on YouTube. So without further ado, I would like to get into game 1. And it is a special game because it was started out supposed to be 1 game, but ended up being best of 3. And I think you guys will enjoy all the game and the gameplay in it, because I think the people from my locals are pretty high-end players. But without further ado, let's get right into the content. So we have Yamato versus Kinemon, and I am playing Yamato, one of the new leaders from the starter deck, I believe 9, it was? Yeah, starter deck 9, and he's playing Kinemon, one of the higher-end green leaders, especially in OP02. So without further ado, let's get right into the first game. I'm not gonna lie, I've had a lot of misplays with this deck, but I feel as though you actually can learn from those misplays. This deck can run really well. I'm sorry, I'm doing this new vertical versus horizontal, sort of like miss versus match. So it sort of looks cleaner. Let me know if I should just like make it side by side. But without further ado, like I said, let's get into the first game. I did have it sped up a little bit, so I don't know. Hopefully this is the right speed because the games are pretty long. But without further ado, let's get into it. So his first turn, he plays Kinemon effect, and he gets the Okiku out. Obviously, as a Kinemon player, you want to go second. And as a Yamato player, I feel as though going first is better because you can get that the pudding into Paraspera into the Yamato curve. But I do not actually play the Yamato. I actually play Mount Dora on my second turn for turn 3, and it reads, if you play Mount Dora, if you rest him in your main phase, you can KO a 3 or less, but you take 1 from your life. In the Yamato deck, I really like it a lot because you're essentially building your hand, but also negging your life. And as a Yamato player, you want to sort of get to that 2 life so your effect starts to work. As a Kinemon player, you want to keep using the Kinemon effect and get cheating out characters for 1 down less, so you can sort of manipulate your down in that fashion. But this is right here is my first misplay. He swings 6 at Mount Dora, who's at 4K. But in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, he has 3. He's going to play another Okiku, so I'm going to just try to use the same effect. But I forget the Kinemon effect is you can tap 1 for less. So I was thinking the Okiku was coming back out, but it actually comes out to be a Yamato. So now I'm like, damn, Mount Dora's on my board now, and he's kind of useless. So now my third turn, I'm feeling a little, I feel as though I'm behind because now I just ditched 2 2K counters, I believe, or 2 and a 1, where I could have kept that, got rid of Mount Dora and then played that. I think it was a Daifuku underneath it. But I put tap 1 underneath my Yamato. And I think I'm just going to swing 6 here. Thunderbolt. So I'm still trying to get towards that 2 life area. So I tap 2 to play the Thunderbolt to get rid of the Yamato. Tap 1 underneath, or attach 1 to Mount Dora, and I swing 5 at leader. He takes it. And then I swing 6 again. I think he takes it again. I'm not sure. Or swing 7. Yeah, I think he takes it. Yeah. So with this, I'm feeling pretty okay, but I know the Mount Dora's going to die next turn. But also with green, I try to like not always swing at leader right off the bat, because especially with Kinemon, they want to kind of build a hand and sort of drop down the Ode and drop down Okiku, so then they have the counter to protect them, counter to protect themselves. So I don't really like swinging at leader most times, but I feel as though like right now is more appropriate because right at this point I only have Mount Dora on board, and I think he swings at Mount Dora again, or at life. So I take it again, and I'm at 2 life really fast. So my third time I'm already at 2 life, and he plays the Krieg. And right now I'm like, okay, I I think I messed up. Right now, I notice how bad I messed up. And I don't remember what's in my hand right now, but I don't think it's going to help me moving forward. So right now, I'm at my 5 down turn. No, I'm at my 7 down turn. And I'm trying to think, okay, Krieg is definitely a double attack. I don't think I have a blocker to prevent it from anything from like going through. And even though I'm going to be at 6K, it's going to be a very uphill battle from here. So I attach the 1 Don, I swing at lead. I think, does he counter this one? Yeah, he counters it for 2K. So now I'm like, okay, even though he countered it, I still have some plays. And I tap 3 to play Parasparrow, and I think I play a Brûlé. Yep. So then I'm like, okay, I'm playing decent right now. But then in my mind, I'm like, one of these 2 characters are dead for sure this turn. Either the Brûlé to block, or the character's getting rested because it's green, especially Kinemon green with only 1 character on board. And just like that, drops the Yamato down, rests the Brûlé, and then I think he just swings the leader at Brûlé, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not protecting this Brûlé. Goodbye. And then he attaches 3 to Don Krieg, and that's swinging 10 at leader for double attack. And I'm like, oh, damn. Because remember, I use up most of my counters early on to protect the mount door, and I have pretty much nothing on board that's really going to help me out. Right now, I'm pulling the cards. I'm hoping for trigger. Don't see any triggers in my life. And I'm like, damn. I think I got all dead cards from my life with this one. So yeah, this is very much me still learning Yamato and very much terribly playing the first hand and not even drawing into a good hand. So it's turn 5. I have no life till his 3 with a Don Krieg and a Yamato facing, and he has 2 down up, possibly for a Pump Gibson. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, and I don't really start slow playing. In my mind, I'm just like trying to think, like, is there any possible way for me to get out of this like bind? Like, so right now I'm just playing with my Dom, playing with my hand, trying to think, if I play a blocker, can I do this? If I play, can I keep a 1 for arrow, tap 1 underneath? Can I use possibly Katakuri? I can't remember what I have in my hand right now, but I'm trying to think, is there any plausible way for me to get out of this bind? So I just swing the 5 at life. Obviously, he's going to 1K counter out of that because his hand is pretty hefty from earlier on. I swing 6 at life. He takes it. So now I'm putting his hand back up to, I believe, 5. And even though I have a huge hand, and in Yamato does run a lot of 2K counters. In my hand, I feel like I did have a lot of counter. No. In this game, I did not have a lot of counter. I had a lot of dead cards. So I just play 8 for the Katakuri, and I put Parasparrow back in my life just to save myself 1 more hit off life. Because even if it's a double attack, I only take the 1 life, and possibly I can protect myself with the counters in hand. But with him having all 10 access to all 10 of his Don and 3 attackers, essentially, I'm just like, yeah, I'm just on borrowed time right now, and I don't have, and I see what's in my life. I don't have like the arrow to possibly get buy a life back. I don't have the Brûlé to possibly take a hit off my life, take a hit off my face. So I'm just like, all right, at this point, I'm on borrowed time. So I'm looking at my grave and seeing like, what did I do wrong on this? In this game to put me in this predicament? And I'm like, I realized that definitely protecting the Mount earlier on, and also not having the cards to establish board like I wanted to. I feel like I drew that Parasparrow out of life. I think I drew my Parasparrow from top deck, and then he just swings 9. No, he swings 8 at face, and I was like, should I counter this one? I'm trying to count in my head, like, he has 9 down left. Can I protect myself? Realistically speaking, I know I can't, but I'm still trying to figure out if I possibly could in any way, shape, or form. And then I sort of show my hand here, because I think I take the life and then I play and then I ditch 1 card. So now he knows, okay, he has more, like, he had dead cards in his hand, so like probably has more because that's yellow. So he swings high, and I'm just like, how much do I have? I have nothing. So realistically speaking, I feel as though that game really went terrible for me with me saving the Mount Door earlier on. But the Mount Door in this deck is still a really good option. So it wasn't that I'm upset that I played it. I feel like I'm upset that I saved it as hard as I did. So he goes second again. I go first. I have no play. Do I have a play? Yeah, I had no play. He plays his Okiku first turn like Kinemon usually does. And then it's my second turn now. Do I change my... Yeah, I change it. All right. And I realize, okay, I had the same strategy in my hand. I still have the Mount Door. I swing 5 at face. He takes it. Perfect. I'm like, all right. We're going to do the same thing as last game, but now we sort of know not to play it the same way. So we play the Mount Door, rest it, take 1, KO the Okiku. So now we're building board, and essentially we know where we want to go from here. Because we know that the Okiku, there's a possible Yamato coming down, especially if he attaches a Don. And he attaches 2 Don and then swings. So now I'm like, okay, oh no, one down. Okay. I'm like, Mount Door, he's gone. I'm not saving him this time. I learned from last time. Even if he plays the Yamato to establish his board, there's nothing to rest. I'm fine with that. He plays another Okiku. Cool. All right. With one down up, probably just leaving the down up for a bluff. I don't think he actually would use a Paradise in this case. So I'm at my 5 down turn right now, and I'm like, okay, since I don't play Yamato, there's a couple. I don't play 5-drop Yamato. There's a couple ways I can go about this. I attach one underneath, so that sort of establishes to him, okay, where's he going with this? I think I play a second Mount Door right here. I'm not sure. Swing 6. No, I swing 7. Okay, so that definitely shows like where I'm going. All right, I swing 7 at face. Try to get 2 cards out of hand, see if he's gonna do it or not. He takes life. Like I said, it's swinging early at green sort of has like negative drawback sometimes because I do play the second Mount Door because green wants to see a lot more cards than other decks because they have high counter values, they have a lot of triggers as well, and sometimes they just having a lot of cards in hand gives them a lot more options rather than other decks would. So he swings 6 at Mount Door. I got rid of him again, but this time he plays the 5-drop Yamato and then Toki. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, perfect, right? I didn't say the Mount Door, but I got value out of both the Mount Doors in my hand, getting rid of both the Kiku, so that sort of stops him from doing this whole 2, 3, 4, or 2, 3, 2, 3, 4 essentially. 2, 3, 5. Okay, 2, 3, 5 playing the Yamato. So I'm like, okay, I don't feel as bad because I think I have enough counters to stop the double swing banish, depending on how he downs it up. So I attach one underneath Yamato, and I think I use Thunderbolt here to get rid of the Yamato entirely. But actually, I don't think so. I forgot how I think I just leave the Yamato on board. No, I did use a Thunderbolt. So I use the Thunderbolt, KO the Yamato. So that blocker now on the field becomes absolutely useless because there's no Kozuki Odin on board. So now I'm at my 2 down. I'm at my 2 life against his 3. I still have 3 down up, and I swing 7 at face because the Toki blocker is pretty much useless right now. So obviously he's going to take it. He doesn't want to get rid of 2 cards in his hand. I tap 3 and I play the Parasparrow, I believe. Parasparrow, yeah. So now I'm feeling good because even if he were to play a rest character to swing at the Parasparrow, I'm starting to get value out of that because I can draw a card. So I don't feel as bad anymore. And now he's swinging 6, and I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm at 6. So now this is only a 1K out of hand. So it's perfect. So now I'm feeling like, okay, I have control of the board in my mind, and I don't feel as scared going into the facing the Odin and facing the Kinemon because I'm like, okay, I have the counters in hand. I'm at my 6K life now, and I think I'm at my 9 down turn. Yeah, I'm at my 9 down turn, and I think I know what I do. So I swing 5, see if I can get a card out of hand. I do, perfect, and I swing 6. Oh no, I think I. Yeah. So I realized that I should be on my 9 down turn, but I only had 8 down up. So I think I know I'm missing a Don. And I asked him, like, yeah, shouldn't I be at 9 down? He's like, yeah, you should be at 9 because it's my 5th turn. And that's why the counter sometimes helps because that would have been bad. I was like, I should definitely have enough down for my Katakuri. And I do play my Katakuri. I send Odin to the bottom, which is like perfect for me. And now the Toki blocker again becomes useless. And I swing again at 6. And he takes it. So I'm like, okay, now I'm realizing that he may not have enough counters in hand. And even if he does, me not having Katakuri established with him having basically no threats and green not having access to rush, I feel absolutely perfect, right? So then he drops the Momonosuke, searches the top 5, gets an Okiku, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, at this point, Okiku is not too much of a threat for me because, like I said, there's no rush for Okiku. So even if him playing Okiku for this one turn is not going to affect me later on down the line because I know that I have enough counter in my hand. So he's swinging 7, even swinging 7 at my face. I don't know if maybe he's swinging at the Parasparrow, I can't remember. But even if he swings 7 at my face, I still have the 2K counters in hand, and Yamato being at 6. Yamato being at 6 later on down in the game is the best feeling in the world. Now I understand why Whitebeard players feel the way they do, because they keep drawing from their life and their hand gets huge and they're at 6 and they always have all these 2K counters in hand, and I'm like, this is how it feels. I know now. I never played Whitebeard. I never actually wanted to play with Whitebeard, but now that I actually play with Yamato, I sort of get the feeling of playing Whitebeard, because you stuff Yamato full of 2Ks, you have the 8 drop, you have the 7 drop, and you have the trigger cards, and that's sort of how you play Yamato, and that's sort of what I built mine around. I think mine is a little different because I have the Mount Door. I don't think many of them run the Mount Door. I know a lot of them run the structure deck 3-drop trigger card. So it's like you trigger, you KO a 1 cost, and you bring it back to hand. So you KOs the Parasparrow, and I look at the top 3. I'm hoping for like a Big Mom or something like that, because that can really like put up a lot of pressure on him. I don't know if I have Big Mom in hand, but it's either that or yeah, I draw the 7-drop Big Mom. So I'm like, perfect. So now I'm like, okay, if I go 7-drop next turn, he's probably gonna give me a life, maybe. And if he gives me a life, I'm sitting pretty, because like now he only has Toki, Momonosuke, and Okiku on board, and I think he drops. He accidentally plays the Izo, so now I know he has a 2K in hand, and he still has 2 up for the Punk Gibson. And I'm like, there's no targets on my board that's going to be hit by a Punk Gibson currently, and if I could just play around that, knowing that in my head, then that would be perfectly fine. So now my sixth turn, I draw, and I'm not really sure what I do here. So it's like 2-2, the board, he's sort of like starting to build his board a little bit more, but that Toki is still useless on board. So then I attach 2 to my leader, and 1 aside. So I'm saying 7 at face. Let's see if I can get any counter out of hand. He takes it, and I'm like, oh, okay. Now I realize I saw that he has nothing in hand or has a lot in hand. So I swing 8 at face. I think maybe I might drop the 7-drop Big Mom first. But I just swing 8 at face to see what he's gonna do, see if I can get anything out of hand. Oh, I swing 8 at the Momonosuke. I can't remember if that was a good play or not in my head, but I feel like him getting rid of the Momonosuke sort of like takes away from him getting any other like possible counters or seeing something that that would benefit him. So I was like, getting rid of the Momonosuke right now is probably key in my mind. I play the 7-drop Big Mom, and he actually takes a life, gets rid of Odin. So now in my mind, I completely forgot. I thought Odin he put the hand, but I didn't realize. I completely forgot that he actually put it to grave. So later on, I asked him like, so I know you have 1 Odin in hand. I'm trying to count like the amount of counters he possibly has in hand, and I sort of know that he has 1 2K in hand from him accidentally playing the Izo. So now we're in a situation where okay, I feel like I have complete control of the board, because essentially this Big Mom, this Yamato deck is supposed to be a more like control style yellow, even though I have the triggers and stuff like that. Like me playing the Mount Door is more of a trying to control the board as much as possible. So he swings 6 at leader, I just take it. I'm not, like I said, I'm not afraid of his Toki at this point, because nothing that Toki can hit, there's nothing Toki can do to any of my characters on board. He doesn't swing with Okiku. Sorry, I keep saying Toki. He doesn't swing with Okiku. I'm not afraid of Okiku on board, because there's nothing he can rest with it. He attaches the Don to kill her. He doesn't swing with Okiku because he wants to 2-down up for Punk Gibson, and I'm at 6K, so he can't swing, which is so beautiful. You just love it. He plays the Kree because he knows he needs a big body on board, because right now, like, I probably have all the counter in hand to possibly protect myself, and I keep putting the 1 down aside just so he knows that I have the arrow in hand, or for him to even think that I have the arrow in hand, which is minus 3,000, which is perfect against any resetting characters like Lucci, possibly. You can use it against Don Krieg if you know they have a Django in hand. Like say if you see them play the Nami and draw the Django, you could use it against Krieg as well. So I swing 8 at face. He blocks. He Punk Gibsons. So I swing 7 at face. Got 2 2Ks out of hand. I mean 2 to 1. And I swing 8 at face. There's 2 2Ks out of hand again. And then I just go for the play. I go bang, hit 8, and then let me just get the Don Krieg out of there. So that's another threat gone. So I'm like, okay, now I'm like, all right, even though I have 1 life, even if he swings everything with one of the 2 characters, I still have enough counter in hand to just like protect myself entirely. So right now I feel like completely dominant right now, control wise, in this game. And you gotta see that alt art, beautiful alt art Katakuri. But right now, even with that being said, there's still ways that he can get through. Like he attaches, I believe, 3, so he swings 8 at face, and I just take it. I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, that's fine. And I get rid of the arrow. Like I don't have the arrow with me. And then he swings 1 2 3. I think he just swings everything else, like 10. Yep, and I hit 3 2Ks. So I know I had enough counter. As long as Don Krieg's not on board, I have enough counter to like protect myself. So now I think I just go for lethal, because I know he used like a lot of his cards last time. A lot of his counter cards last time. Even though he has 1 killer and 1 down up, the 1 down is possibly a 2K. The Pirate has Waterfall, so he has another blocker. The Toki, like I said, becomes useless when I keep getting rid of that Odin on board, which is perfect for me. I play 8. Right now, I realized I could have went for lethal, but I guess I didn't. I think I was gonna play the Katakuri, And then I started counting, and then I was like, oh yeah, the Odin is in hand, and then like, oh yeah, I forgot the Odin went to grave, so he has 1 life, 1 blocker, and one down up. I'm like, okay, I think I could definitely go for a game here. It took me a while to realize, and I asked him, and I was trying to see like how many 2Ks are in your grave. Yeah, so 1 carrot, 2 Ezos, and then the 1 Odin. I'm like, okay, if he is playing Chopper, I don't remember if I saw Chopper or not, but the Chopper would be another 2K, so essentially he could possibly have up to 8K in hand to defend. And I'm like, I have 10 Don access. I have access to 10 Don, so I'm just gonna go for game. It doesn't make sense to me to just it doesn't make sense for me to bounce anything back to hand, because I feel like that's just gonna be detrimental to me. So I swing 7 at face just to see if he has the 1, because even regardless, swinging 7 is either block or 2 out of hand. So that's 1, 2. So then we know now he only has 1 thing in hand. I'm like, okay, he only has 1 blocker, 1 life. So I'm like, I have 3 attacks that will definitely get through regardless. And now then I asked him about the Odin. I was trying to remember that the Odin. So before I asked about the 2K, then I asked about the Odin just to make sure. I was trying to think if he had a dead card in hand at all. And I don't know why I was thinking so much, because the math is very simple right here. Like, he only has 1 in hand and he has 1 life. Even though he has a killer, like the killer blocks 1. Like, say he gets another 2K in hand, so let's say he has up to 4K in hand, he can only get up to 9 possibly. Right now, that was the dangerous move right there, because I swing just straight 8 at face. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot he could possibly have a 2K in hand. And then I realized, okay, no. Yeah, but that was the one dangerous thing. I should have attached 1 Don to Katakuri and swung 9, just in case, because if he did have 2 2Ks, then I lose the game. So that's another misplay right there. I didn't even notice it until right now, but that I should definitely have attached the Don to Katakuri. And here's game 3. So right now it's 1-1. On my first turn, I'm still giving Kinemon sec. I think he lost, so I think he chose to go second again. And this time, I think he's expecting the Mount Door, because he plays it a little differently, or he just doesn't have the Okiku. So I play tap 1, get the Perona. I get the pudding for the first time. I search and I grab a cracker. So I don't remember what I do here. I don't know if I have the Mount Door right now, so I just swing. Right now, I'm doing so much math in my head. Even though it's turn 2, I'm just trying to figure out like what he could play next. Cause I'm like, okay, he didn't play the Okiku, so it's either he doesn't have the Okiku or he doesn't want to play the Okiku. So I swing 5 first, and then I play the Brulee, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I think the Brulee just gets rested in KOs like this same turn. So yeah, tap 3, Kinemon effect, play the Yamato, rest the Brulee, swing the Brulee, KO, which is 5. So right now it's like, okay. And he plays the Toki, which actually is working now because the Yamato's there. So okay, now I'm trying to figure out where I should go from here. And this game actually gets really pretty close, and it's like it can definitely go either way. So I attach 1 to Yamato. I'm trying to think if I can establish board, it'd be perfect. But I'm trying to think how would I? And I'm trying to count counters in my head right now, because if he does play another res character next turn, even though he won't have the effect, I'm trying to think, would he have enough Don to actually KO it? So yeah, so he actually used a Toki blocker, which I think was the first time he actually had access to the Toki blocker and it actually worked. So I tap 4 and I play the Daifuku. To be honest, I only run a 12 with the Daifuku in my deck, and I love it. Like, Daifuku, if he can stay on board for 1 or even 2 turns, like, his value is immense. Like, getting 2 more cards in hand, especially with so many 2Ks prevalent in this deck, and it's just like makes it so much easier, because it's basically a free draw with a 6K swing, and he swings at life, and I'm trying to think if I want to use the trigger or not. I'm trying to think what I can ditch, and I think this trigger was a Mount Door, and I had another Mount Door in hand, so I was trying to think, should I just ditch the Mount Door for a Mount Door? But I was like, nah, I'll just take it to hand, because there's no point I'm playing him. Or maybe I do. Me trying to remember this game from last night, it was crazy. But like, yeah, I take the Mount Door. He plays the 5-drop Yamato, and I'm like, oh shit. And I was telling him that I was telling him he swung earlier, and I completely forgot to take because he swung twice. But yeah, so now I'm like, okay, I'm at 3 life with now I'm facing a Yamato and a Yamato. He's at 4 life, I'm at 3, and I'm like, okay, all right, this is gonna get dangerous. because I don't. Sometimes they just attach 4 and they swing 9, because if it's 9, you basically have to use 3 cards out of hand most times to defend it. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, how could I do this and actually still survive, right? And from now, I'm just gonna read off what's going on the screen, because I actually don't remember what I did during this turn. I don't even remember if I swung with Daifuku for this turn, but I definitely, I should have. So I'm asking how many cards in hand, trying to count counters, because remember, at this point, I think I have like at least 8k in counter, but I don't have a play right now. So I'm like, what should I do? What should I do? And I think I just go heavy and try to KO the one Yamato, just so I can get 1 attack off my face. Yep. So I go heavy with Daifuku. I swing, I think, 9. Yeah, I think I swing 9 with Daifuku and KO the Yamato. I get 1 from hand, and I keep the 1 up, and I swing 7. Okay. I remember the 1 up doesn't work until you're at 2 lives. So I just swing the 7 at life. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I think I drew a 2k counter from my life as well with Daifuku. So I'm feeling really good right now. I'm like, okay, even if he swings a lot, even if he swings 9, I will still counter it, and I have a way to remove it next turn. So he swings 5 at Daifuku, and I protect it. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna keep him in hand, keep him on the field, because essentially, if I can get Daifuku for 1 more turn, I'm like, perfect. And he's like, I definitely think he was gonna go for life at this point, and essentially with 6 up, I was like, since he got the 1 counter out of hand, he's most likely going for the Krieg play. And I noticed it as soon as he only swung 7. Once he swung 7 leader with Yamato, I'm like, damn, he's going for the Krieg because he has 6. So I'm like, okay. So protecting Daifuku was sort of pointless, but at the same time, you will never actually know until the game plays out. But I noticed it as soon as he swung 7. I'm like, okay, get the 2 counters out, the 2k and the 1k, protect my leader, get the Krieg, and then Daifuku's gone. I'm like, all right. Now it's getting tight. Now you're starting to feel your feathers starting to ruffle, right? I only have a pudding on board. I'm facing down a double swing banish, double attack banish Yamato, a double attack Krieg. Even though I got the 1 draw off of life with Daifuku, right now I'm in a very awkward position. I'm not sure if I can just go for boar or keep the counter in my hand. So I swing 6 at Yamato. He gets the counter out, and I'm like, oh, damn. All right. And this is where I think I made the better play, right? Because there's 2 characters on board. I'm trying to think which one do I want to get rid of, right? And I'm like, getting rid of the Yamato makes sense, because it's, even though it's a 5k, it still has banish. And I don't actually mind getting hit by a double attack from Krieg, because it's going to put me to my 6, and I think I have enough counter to protect myself for a long period of time. I think I have right now I'm pushing almost like 4 2Ks in hand. Then I go and count to make sure. I was like, okay, how many 2Ks have I used? Like, what could possibly be in my life? And I'm also hoping for a possible trigger out of life when he swings with Krieg. And he swings heavy with Krieg. Like, I think he knows I have a lot of 2Ks in hand, so he swings a lot with Krieg. And I'm like, oh, should I counter this one? And I'm asking how many downs are underneath him, or how many downs he has left. I remember, like, because Krieg is a 7, so he touches 4, he swings 11. And I'm like, could I do 11? But remember, I'm only at 5. And I'm like, in my head, I can protect the 11, but I'm like, do I actually want to ditch so many cards in hand for the 11? So I'm like, you know what? It makes more sense just to take it. If I get a trigger, perfect. I do get a trigger Brûlée, and no trigger afterwards. And the thing is, Kinemon effect is still in effect. You can see the dice on the Kinemon, so he is using his effect. He taps 2 to play the Okiku, I believe. Oh, Raizo. Oh, yeah. And then I'm like, oh, damn. Then he plays the killer and then attaches 1. And I'm like, the draw power right now is absurd with the Creed established, 1 down up, and 4 in hand. I'm like, golly, this is ugly. But at the same time, I don't really panic, because I feel as though, like, with Katakuri and at least the Brûlée, that's still gonna make him do something he doesn't naturally want to do. And by that I mean, he's gonna make him at least play a card to rest my Brûlée and swing at the Brûlée, possibly. And if not, then the Brûlée is like the perfect buffer. So I put 1 aside for the arrow, and I put 8 aside for possibly another Katakuri. I don't remember, but now it's tight. I'm trying to figure out how I can get around this whole, like, huge board. And I don't remember if I play the 7 drop or the 8 drop right now. So let's just watch and see how it plays out. But I'm also thinking, okay, he has draw power. If he swing, he can just swing with Raizo at anything and still draw after he swings the Krieg, so it's perfectly fine. And if I swing right now, he's just gonna draw one with the killer. So I'm trying to think, like, how can I maneuver around this to put myself in a better position? Because right now it's 4 life to 1. His board is completely established with Raizo, killer, and Krieg, 1 down, up, 4 in hand. But right now I think I have almost close to 8 in hand, or maybe 8 or 7 or 8 in hand. So just take me a second to think about how I can sort of like get around this. I'm just telling him, like, yeah, he has a lot of draw power. Even though I'm at 6 right now, how do I do this? I was like, okay, this is how we're gonna do. We're gonna, and I started to bluff. I started to bluff by putting 3 under pudding, just to see, just to sort of like test like how he would react, right? To see if he makes any judgments with his hands, to see if he starts to count himself. And I'm like, okay, how could I do this to sort of like mess with his mind? And I think I just swing 8 at face. And to be honest, I think he just takes this. Yeah, I think right now, like, the way he's so ahead, taking it is completely fine, right? And because he took it, I was like, okay, now I'm just gonna swing 7. No, 7, right? Because I was originally gonna swing with pudding. I was gonna swing with pudding first, right? So I swing 7 at Krieg. I was gonna swing with pudding first, 5 at face to see if I get a counter out of hand on him taking the life. So I swing 7 at Krieg. He uses the restand to bring him back. And then I play the 7 drop Big Mom, and he takes 1. So now I'm like, okay, bet. Even though I'm at 1, he's at 2. I still feel good because even the double attack with the arrow still helps me a lot. But now in my head, I'm like, he still has a lot of draw power on the board with his killer attaching 1 down and the Raizo. So he still has ways to draw cards. But I know in my mind that he does not have that many cards, strictly because of how he's countering. Not that many cards, not that many counters. But I think that was more of an assumption on my part. I think the way the game was feeling to me was that he didn't have a lot of counters in hand. And one of the reasons was because he didn't play the Okiku earlier on. So in my mind, I'm like thinking, like, because he didn't play the Okiku, it's either he didn't have it or he was keeping it in hand because of my mount door or possible mount door. So he swings 7 at face just like blankly. And once he didn't attach any and swung, I knew that this combo was coming. I knew that he was just gonna go for the Tokyo Odin play and attach 1 underneath killer. So I was like, okay, cool. So now I'm facing a Krieg, a Raizo, a killer, an Odin, and a Toki. It's turn 7. Even though I have the Brule and the Big Mom and the Katakuri, I'm still trying to figure out, okay, how can I go about this and still win? And I think him not swinging heavy with Krieg this turn and playing the Odin was the opening that I wanted, because he was going for a play that gives him the most options with everything that I have on board. But because I knew I had the arrow in hand, I was like, oh my god, I got him. I was like, okay, now I see the light. I see a tunnel way to possibly get this thing done, right? So off bat, I think I want to test to see how much is he willing to protect some of his characters. So I attach to pudding and I swing at Raizo. And if he protected the Raizo with the block or counter out of hand, I was like, oh, bet, that's perfect for me. So I'm still putting 1 aside for the arrow because I know the Odin double attack is coming, and if I can get rid of the Krieg some way somehow, then I'll be perfect, because that gives me an opportunity to use the arrow against the Odin. So I swing 8 at the Krieg, and he gets rid of the Krieg, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And I think that once you get rid of the Krieg, I know he's literally banking on the Odin to go for game. And that he didn't have the counter power in hand to protect him. Even though he had 2 blockers, I think he should have used the 2 blockers, but he didn't, which is really interesting to me. So I played the Rush Katakuri, and I don't think he expected this, right? And I look at the top of his life and see as a Momonosuke. I'm like, okay, cool, you can keep the Momonosuke. But at the bottom, I was like, I'm not giving you a free search. So I swing 6 at face. And I actually do misplay right here. I get a 2K out of hand. I swing 7 at face. He takes it, and then I pass. And in my mind, I didn't realize I passed until the next turn, because I had basically a free swing with my Katakuri. And if I did that, I can get rid of one of the 2 blockers on the side of the field. But because I left him with 2 blockers for the next turn, I don't even realize it until my next turn that I did not swing my Katakuri. So he plays down the Nekomamushi and rests my Brule, and I'm like, oh, There we go. But then I realized, then I counted it out. He swings 6. He swings 6 at face, and I had the counter in hand. So I sort of, I'm like, okay. And then I realized, then I see my trigger card, and I'm going to look in my hand to see what I have. I'm like, okay. I could do this. And it's an arrow. So I'm basically trying to see what I should discard in order to get one more life back. And I revealed that it's an arrow, and I discard my cracker, and I think that was a Peril Sparrow, I believe. So we're still facing down the Odin. So he attaches a lot to Odin. So he attaches. He's trying to count out now, and he realized, I think, and because he's doing this, he's going all in for game. So I realized that he knows that he's sort of like on his back foot and can't really do anything, right? He needs to go for game right now. And I think even if I didn't use the arrow in that position, I still had enough counter to take one hit. I still had enough to counter the one hit from Katakuri and then counter one of the hits from Odin. I saw the arrow regardless. So I tapped the arrow. Play the arrow. So then he has a 9k now. I'm still at 6. So I'm at now 2Ks. So that puts me to 10 with him at 9. And then it's my 8th turn. And then I literally restand everything. And then I look at the board. And I'm like, oh wait, did I not swing with my Katakuri last turn? And I realized how like foolish that was, because now I'm facing 2 blockers, 1 life. Even though I know the 1 life is a Momonosuke, I'm trying to count the counters in my hand. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was hoping to draw into a mount. I think I have a Mount Door in hand too. And I'm like, damn, I can't even use Mount Door because now I don't have a life to draw from. So I'm trying to think, how can I facilitate my Don to get through right now and win? So that's why I sit back. I'm like, okay, how many cards in hand? I think I even asked him how many 2Ks he has used this game. I think right now he has 4 in hand. And I asked him, how many have in hand? He's like, 4 or 3. Is it 3? He has 4. He has 4 in hand. Two blockers, 4 in hand, 1 life, and I know the 1 life is I know one of the cards is Yamato, and I know the other life is Momonosuke. So I know he has only has. So essentially, out of the 5 cards that he could possibly get, 2 of them are 1K. All right, but he still has 2 blockers. And that's the biggest things, that he has 2 blockers, and that's sort of my fault. So I swing 7 to get possibly a 2K or 2 cards out of hand. So 2 cards out of hand with 2 blockers and 1 life. So I still have essentially 3 attackers that can hit. And I asked him how many 2Ks are in hand. I'm trying to figure out like what's going on. What's the sauce in your hand? And I think I attached 7 or 5 to a pudding, and I swing 7 again. And then 8 and 8. Yeah, so I swing, yep, and I have 3. I swings 2. Yep. So that's why I go. I always attach 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I attach 6. I attach 6 to pudding, and I swing. Once he took it, I'm like, okay. And I still have 3 attacks left. So I think I just attach 7 possibly. I'm trying to think kind of in my head. I know basically almost all the cards in his hands. So I attach 8. Yeah, let's go for the 8-8-8 play. So I'll go 8 at face. I don't think he would have enough to counter. Yep. So then even if he had, I know he had the Momonosuke, so even if he had 2 other 2Ks, I know he can't do it. And because of how he's countering earlier on, I know he didn't physically have all the counters early. I know he didn't have the counters before, so at the end, I know he also didn't have the counters. But for the most part, it was best out of 3, and I think this game was actually really close. I think the one misplay that he made was getting rid of the Krieg, but because he didn't protect the Krieg with the blocker, I know that he did not have counter in hand. From then on, I knew he didn't have a lot of counter in hand because he would have protected the Krieg or he would have blocked. But because he didn't block, I knew that he needed those blockers later on. And because he didn't counter, I know he didn't have the counter. So I'm like, okay. I knew that towards the end, I knew 2 cards in his hand, but I also knew that the other cards had to have been dead cards. But for the most part, the best of 3 was great. Like I thoroughly enjoyed this matchup because Yamato was still a very new leader. that has a lot of potential, and there aren't many tech cards later on that sort of buff the deck, but I feel as though right now in this O3 meta, like, it's still a decent card, still a decent leader that can sort of give other decks a run for their money. Obviously, I think the best leader, yellow leader, is still kind of Curry, and I also think the starter deck Big Mom kind of edges out Yamato with the cards from starter deck 09, and also in OP04, the other decks just get so much better that Yamato sort of like fizzles out. So you can say Yamato right now can be an A tier, but in 04, because there's no cards that specifically build up Yamato, it sort of drops down to a B tier. But I think there are some cards that people definitely overlook that can bolster that Yamato deck a lot. And I think, like, even the 3-drop Yamato, when you're drawing from life to buff them by 2,000, I think the Mount sort of has the same effect, and basically you draw a life and then you KO 3 or less. And I feel like that sort of gives board control, but also sort of helps Yamato build a hand, but also gets Yamato to that 2-life buffer. So, like, I feel as though Yamato has a lot of potential, and I think there are some decks that can really, there are some builds that can really bolster that user's effect. But for the most part, since it's so new still, I feel as though I'm still checking it out to see like where I want to put it and how I feel about it. But for the most part, I do like the deck. I do like the deck, and I want to see how it plays out later on. But like I say at the end of every single video, tell your friends, your family, your loved ones, anyone you feel that might be entertained by the video. Actually, that's not what I do. That's for my stream. For my YouTube videos, tell me what you guys think about the video. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell button to come back next time and remain. And please leave a comment down below and tell me what you guys think about the deck, or if I should continue making videos like this. But until next time, y'all, remain polished, stay beautiful. Peace.